Hello, kindred spirits. Welcome to the Magical Mystical Divinations podcast. I'm your host, Southern Mystic Tama P., creator of mysticdivinations.com. That's mystic with a K, by the way. I invite you into my sacred space located in the heart of East Tennessee, where I will discuss inner magic, mystical insight, astrology, and most importantly, how to use divination to enhance your daily life. Grab your favorite drink and hang out with me for a spell as we connect on a higher level. Good morning, kindred spirits. This is the beginning of Season 3. Sorry for the long gap in between Season 2 and Season 3. I was on the cusp of just not doing it anymore. Sometimes I get down. I'm sure you do too. Sometimes I feel that my dreams aren't going to be recognized. But I've learned that the universe will provide and give what we need. Maybe not what we want. You know, God answers prayers, but He's not a genie in a bottle. And if your God is a goddess, well, same for her. She doesn't grant wishes just because we make wishes, you know. But life has been good for the most part. Big changes in my life. I got married after so many years of saying I would not remarry. It was a glorious moment, and I'm very happy that I made that decision. I hope it's for the rest of my life, because that's what I believe marriage should be, but is not always. And definitely, things change. People change. You know, the one thing I've learned through my quest in discovering my higher self is that sometimes you have to let go. Sometimes you just have to experience something for a season because there is a reason. And we all gather something from our experiences, no matter how good or bad those experiences are. There is a lesson. We learn from these, and sometimes we keep repeating the same mistakes because maybe we didn't learn the right lesson. But either way, I'm not going to continue down that vein. The fact is, I'm recording this. Tonight is a full moon. I love working with moon phases. This Scorpio full moon doesn't seem to be too kind to me right now, the way that I'm feeling. But some moons agitate me and some moons motivate me, and this happens to be one that is in a period of not understanding some things. But having said that, I promised we were going to talk about mysticism, because the name of my website is Mystic Divinations. The name of my podcast is Magical Mystical Divinations. We covered a lot about magic and about magical thinking, and I just want to remind you that magic is ever how you want to define it. I'm not trying to change your opinion. I'm just trying to give you food for thought and trying to clarify for some people who have a misconception about a lot of this. Let's explore what mysticism is. So, I do consider myself a mystic. But first, before I declare what a mystic is, mysticism is the belief that union with or absorption into the deity or the absolute, or the spiritual apprehension of knowledge inaccessible to the intellect, may be attained through contemplation and self-surrender. That's a little bit deep. This is in the Oxford Dictionary. It's also a belief characterized by self-delusion or dreamy confusion of thought, especially when based on the assumption of occult qualities or mysterious agencies. To me, mysticism is where you seek a direct personal experience, sometimes beyond the ordinary, often described as the divine or ultimate reality. I've had a lot of experiences with the divine. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you probably have too. A lot of people have a very intuitive understanding and connection with things that are considered sacred. It goes beyond scientific or logical reasoning. But if you're a scientist, maybe you need a reason for everything. Maybe it needs to add up. Everything needs to add up. Well, for a lot of mystics and people in their spiritual quest, they're not trying to add 2 and 2 and get 4. They're trying to add 2 plus 2 plus 2 to see what those numbers represent in their life, for the symbolism of each number, and how they can draw from their belief in what these numbers may stand for. But surely we do want it to add up to what is known as the correct sum. But mysticism emphasizes the individuality, the individual's experience, their personal insights rather than established doctrines or rituals. True, some people who are into mysticism, they follow certain doctrines. And as well, they also perform certain rituals, down to every little thing has to be right. And that's fine. Everything is subjective to the individual. I'm a little looser with my rituals. I'm also a very creative person, and I like to create my own stuff. I'm a big do-it-yourselfer, so I'm not always following the rules per se. Mystics often seek a deeper, more direct understanding of the nature of reality and the divine. But the mystical practices that I do, and most people do, are meditation, contemplation, and other, methods to connect deeply with the spiritual realm. Mysticism can lead to personal transformation and a profound sense of unity or connection with the divine. I definitely feel that. It's found across various religious and spiritual traditions, including Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, and Buddhism. So, what are some examples of mysticism? Well, this is not limited to what I'm about to share with you, but the examples would include, chanting of mantras, which I've covered in both Season 1 and Season 2. Meditation, which without meditation, I'm not quite sure how I would get through some of my days. And prayer. Prayer has carried me through so many traumas, so many tragedies. Prayer has carried me through happiness. Prayer is a constant in my world. And a lot of people don't understand you can be a mystic and pray. I am praying to the creator of this good, great earth that we inhabit. I am praying to the creator and the guardians and everything else that oversees my life. But the most important thing is when you practice mysticism, it's a journey inward. Mystics are seeking to explore the depths of their own consciousness and soul. And whomever you pray to, whomever you believe in, when you're exploring the depths of your faith, it can either show you that, hey, I'm going in the wrong direction, this probably isn't right, I probably need to change, or it can affirm that you are going in the right direction, that this feels right, this feels good and whole, and you feel complete. Some of the key aspects of being a mystic include a heightened sense of intuition, a willingness to challenge conventional beliefs. And trust me when I say, we better be prepared to lose some friends and family members over this, even though they usually have a misconception about what you're doing. But, you have to be willing to take the criticism with the appreciation that others have for this belief. And I don't even know that it's a belief system. I mean, I don't know if it's a religion. I don't feel it is. Because, like I said, mystics rise from all religions. Jesus was a mystic. But I would never, ever, ever compare Jesus to myself or probably anyone I know, because that's out of sheer respect. Okay? Mystics are often described as having direct personal experiences of the divine, whether through visions, feelings, or insights. And, let's just go right back to the Bible. Most of the prophets spoke of their visions and their dreams. I really pay attention. I try to pay attention to my dreams, and if I have a vision, I don't have them often, but, buddy, I really give credence to those visions. One of the things that I like most about being a mystic is the interconnectedness. I have a strong sense of unity with all living things, and I see myself as a part of a larger interconnected whole. I'm not sure if that's how everyone feels. I really look forward to interviewing more and more people on all of these subjects. I want to know how people see themselves within their path to a greater enlightenment. And one of the things that is really hard with this is to let go of our ego. Our ego is so powerful. And I'm not talking about, our ego or self-esteem or anything like that. I'm talking about that side of us that thinks we're a little bit more important than we are. And by being a mystic or by following a spiritual path, we have to realize we are not that powerful. We are a part of a very powerful existence. And we contribute to that existence in both positive and negative ways. So we have to kind of put ourself in check. And that's not always easy. We've worked so hard to build up our self-esteem and our self-worth that sometimes we inflate our self-worth. And we should look at ourselves as being worthy. We are. By no means do I suggest that we not recognize our self-importance. What I'm saying is we have to understand that our ego shouldn't control us. We're not always right. We're not always the smartest person in the room. We're not always the most beautiful person, or wherever your ego is inflated. We have to understand that our ego is the part of us that experiences the world and helps form our identity. And it is responsible for our sense of individuality and our perception of our place in this world. We have to understand that sometimes our pride, our big ego, is a bit conceited and a little too self-centered sometimes. And so one of the things in going through my spiritual journey, I've had to put myself in check. More often than not, I have a lower self-esteem than a higher one. Life sometimes helps contribute to that. But once I discovered I am just as important as anyone else, not more so, but just as important as anyone else, and that my mental state of being is very important. And, it's as important as my overall health. Once I started working on having a healthy ego and built up my confidence and self-esteem, I was motivated, and I wanted to share with others things that might fuel their ambition and increase their drive to pursue their goals, whatever they may be. And your ego can be a protective mechanism, especially with helping you to assert your boundaries and defend yourselves from manipulation. And trust me, the people who can manipulate you the most are the ones you love the most. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't let them manipulate you. But boundaries are healthy, and manipulation is not healthy. In terms of mysticism, monks and everything, they had to go away from everyone. They had to sometimes fast and remove themselves from the people and the places and the things that they love in order to connect with the divine, in order to connect with God, and in order to understand what they should do and how they should carry on. And I really believe we need to isolate ourselves sometimes from everyday life, everyday people, and go into ourselves a little bit and connect with the divine, to connect with your God, to connect with your highest self. And we can do that and achieve that through meditation. But we often don't give ourselves enough time to enjoy that meditation and enough time to reach the level of heightened awareness that we are seeking. And you have to do it sometimes in small phases. It can't all be accomplished in one single meditation ritual. But one of the reasons that I love the term mystic and mysticism, well, it's a little bit mysterious, but is because mysticism offers a path towards personal transformation and a deeper understanding of reality. And it leads to a sense of inner peace. It gives you clarity. And like I said, that connection with everything and everyone in the universe. If you need to work on, specific skills like meditation and prayer, just do it. Just do those things. And don't believe in the self-doubting or other people doubting what you're doing. Just go. Go with it. See where it leads you. It's a journey inward, a journey to find truth and divinity within oneself. And often transcends the limitations of our ego and our rational mind. One of the things that I encourage is self-reflection, understanding one's own nature and purpose. And trust me, there is a lot of shadow work involved. There is a lot of moments that you're going to really see where you probably weren't that great of a person at times, but it gives you something to work towards being a little better and can help you to satisfy or correct the error of your ways, so to speak. And once you do let go of that big inflated ego, if you have that, you're going to have a sense of liberation from the limitations of the self. And you'll feel a greater connection to a larger reality once you connect with the divine on this level. Now that I've sort of shared what I think mysticism is, you've heard of mystic healers. And of course, there are a lot of false mystic healers. There are a lot of people out there just trying to take advantage of others. And, you have to be on the lookout for that for sure. But, there are mystic healers that you seek every day, and they're called priests. or spiritual leaders. Religious figures are seen as possessing the power to heal through prayer or spiritual rituals. Well, you can do that too. You can pray for healing. You can create rituals to show your commitment to what you're asking for in prayer. And, you have to keep in mind that even though mystic healers can provide valuable support and comfort, their methods aren't always scientifically validated. And you really need to seek medical attention when your body is crying out with illness or disease. You really need to seek mental health, qualified healthcare professionals when your mental health is in jeopardy, before relying solely on mystical healing practices. You can use these mystical practices in facilitating your doctors and professional healthcare providers' instructions. So, I don't think I've confused you, but to share this with you because a lot of people have misconceptions about mysticism and mystics in general. And it is such a broad and personal concept that it's really hard to identify how much of the population is into mysticism, but a large portion of Americans identify as spiritual, and 70%, according to Google, consider themselves spiritual in some way. Their study indicated that nearly half of Americans have experienced a religious or mystical experience. Maybe most of these individuals, or a lot of them, don't engage in formalized mystical practices, but there is a significant level of interest and engagement with spiritual experiences and beliefs. One of the things that I like is mysticism is known as becoming one with God, or one with the absolute or the divine. And I think most of us are on a path to discover our true meaning, the purpose of life. Most of us are on a path to achieve profound peace, even if it's only fleeting, because, life is going to continue to throw challenges our way. We're going to continue to face hardships. This doesn't make life a bed of roses. What it does is it helps us to connect as we seek our truth. It helps us to understand the nature of reality and, most importantly, our place within it. And so I don't see how it can be a bad thing in your spiritual path to explore the depths of who you are, to reach out to the higher power, and to experience this sense of unity and interconnectedness with the world. Once again, everybody has different beliefs, and I really, really want to start interviewing some people from time to time just to get their perspective on some of these subjects and their experiences. And that's what I will be seeking to do. I'm so glad I didn't give up on this podcast or my website. I have not many followers on my social media. I also don't have a lot of time to devote to promoting it, but as long as I have someone listening to me, I feel like that someone may be getting something good from what I'm sharing. I don't know it all. I don't even claim to know it all. I just claim to have come from a very, very misunderstood and not so happy place. Over and over again, I've overcome it, and I have had to overcome things that broke my heart to pieces. I've had to pick those pieces up, stitch them back together, and I could not have done it without my faith and my belief and my practices that help calm me. And I just want other people to understand there are ways, natural, holistic ways, to achieve happiness, to increase self-awareness, to promote compassion, and to help us live a more meaningful life. Thank you for spending your time with me today. This has been a Mystic Divinations podcast. I am your host, Tama P. Please like and subscribe, and I would love to hear from you, so feel free to comment. Also, be sure to visit my mysticdivinations.com website. That's mystic with a K, by the way.